What's going on YouTube? It's Brazen back here with another video for you guys. If you guys are enjoying the content, if you guys want to hit a like down below, subscribe if you guys are new here, and leave a comment letting me know you subscribe so I can welcome you to the family. And that being said, cue intro. What's going on YouTube, and welcome back to another Madden 20 video for you here today. I'm going to be doing a highly requested solo challenge in the Gauntlet 3. I did say I was going to do it separate and bring it out today, and I am going to stay to that. Obviously the other Gauntlet challenges, I could bundle them together because they aren't as long, but this one, if I try to put it with other ones, it would just be way too long of a video. So it's going to be this final Gauntleting game. So basically each team switches every play. So you go offense, defense, no matter what the play actually happens. There's no kickoffs. You got to win the game by at least 24 points, rush for 3 touchdowns, pass for 3 touchdowns. You need 2,000 sprint yards, and then you need to score a touchdown on the first play, allow 75 or fewer yards, and then force a safety. So the thing is, if you do those other objectives, the passing and rushing shouldn't be that hard. And the thing is also that people kind of overestimate, if you really want to get 3 touchdowns by tug of warring, you're not going to be able to give up really more than 75 yards, because if you're going back and forth that long, it's going to be really hard to go ahead and get touchdowns on one plays every time. Passing, maybe not so much, but rushing, if you don't have a really like a God Squad type team, it may be a little difficult. But I'm going to go ahead and show you guys as soon as we load in here. And basically what you want to do first is focus on that safety, and then obviously score a touchdown on the first play. So if you don't score a touchdown on the first play, just go ahead and restart. Obviously there's not going to be like any simming clock, or the clock's not going to continue to go because you're going to switch possession every play. So right here, we know we're going to be able to basically score a touchdown probably on this first play, because it looks like, man, that linebacker's trying to guard him and he's just not going to. And we need to score this touchdown on the first play. So boom, just like that, that's 1 passing touchdown. So you're going to have to score at least 1 touchdown on the first play, passing or rushing. And I also got 32 for sprinting, which I understand that's not that much, but I will show you how to get more throughout the game. So we know they're going to start on the 50-yard line. So there's a couple different ways to go ahead and do this. My personal preference is just going to go, you can either goal line blitz it, but for mine, I will just go pinch buck 0 and go ahead and all out blitz it, and I will use a safety. I don't think I'll get beat over top. Basically, you just don't want to give up long touchdowns, because we do also have to win this game by 24, which we know. So right there, I gave up 5 yards. Not a big deal. If we did that, we have 25 plays theoretically that we could give them. So what we want to do right here is I'm trying to get the safety first, because if I don't get this safety, pretty much it doesn't really matter necessarily what you do a lot of the other time of the game. So what I'm going to try to do, and I didn't necessarily do as good as I wanted right there getting to the 20. So I'm not going to be able to do it just yet. I'm going to blitz first. I'm just going to all out blitz. You could also play 2-man. If you just play cover 2-man, that's a little bit more of maybe not stop the run and maybe not get them in the backfield every time. Like, for instance, if I do what I just did, you could see that I pretty much am able to get sacks and play coverage that way. But if you play 2-man, you could also play pretty good defense. It depends on how fast your team is. My corners can pretty much keep up with anyone, so I'm not too worried. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to get the safety, right? We know that's my game plan right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run, and I'm going to try to get out at the 1-yard line. So the reason I want to get out at the 1-yard line is because we want that safety first, in my opinion, because you can't do anything if you don't get the safety. Once we get the safety and we're just focusing on touchdowns, then it becomes a lot easier. So we're going to show blitz right here, and we're going to try to get in there with Torpomolo, and we can see, boom, just like that, we already got the safety done. So not that hard. We're still only about 30 seconds into the game. We're going to get the ball back. And I will just show you the challenge goal. So this is something I advise as well, is just always check your challenge goal. So we could see, okay, allow 75 or fewer yards. We're still working on that. We need to rush for touchdowns, pass for touchdowns, and then earn 2,000 sprint points. So what I'm going to do is, once again, there's a couple different ways you can do it. I'm just going to do the passing touchdowns first. But also, let's say you already had the passing touchdowns, or you want to do rushing touchdowns. You don't necessarily have to rush for touchdowns on one play every single time. And Juju went ahead and fell down there. So we're just going to go ahead and take off. We're not expecting to score, but that's okay. You don't have to score on every single play, because we also need sprint yards as well. And we can see we got 2,000 sprint points just on that. So what I'm going to do is, once again, I'm going to show blitz. I play cover 0, like I said, but it's really dependent on what you like doing. We're going to get basically a free runner. And I mean, he's going to catch it, but how many yards? 1 yard. not a big deal at all. So we still get at the 30-yard line. Since we're on the 30 and I still need passing touchdowns, I'm going to pass it. But if you already have your passing touchdowns, definitely just run the ball and see if you can get it that way as well. We will try to hit Juju over the middle, and we're going to throw a pick. Actually, their guy played that pretty well, but picks don't really kill you. I mean, it does in the sense that if you get a pick, you're not going to be able to score as fast, but we have a lot of time in this game. And they read that pretty well. You hope they play man because that's really where you can score on those. So right here, they're going to try a counter run. And once again, we stop them and they basically get no yards, if not negative. So since I'm in the same formation as well, you definitely can check and see, do I want to throw it or do I feel like I can run from here? And I still don't necessarily feel like I can run from here yet. And that was a really bad throw, but Antoine Randall is going to come down with that. So you're going to get bailed out a little bit, honestly. They don't try to make these too hard. The hardest thing is going to be those sprint yards, but we will focus on the most important thing is if you score these 6 touchdowns without giving them any points, you're going to score 42 points, and we only need to win by 24, and the only thing you can't do is give them yardage. So we definitely need to get some sprint points, but we're going to focus on the touchdowns first because since we will get sprint points while we get touchdowns, and we're just going to wrap that up. I could have went for the pass deflect, but if I miss it, then it's going to completely screw me up. And right here, we can see allow 75 or fewer yards. We really didn't give up anything, maybe 2 yards or something like that. And then right here, we know this is probably man, so we're going to be able to get this 3rd passing touchdown out of the way. And there's a couple different things you can do. If you want to get rushing, just drop out at the 1, or maybe drop out at the 5. That way, if you get a sack, you don't get a safety necessarily. That's probably a little bit safer in my opinion. But you can see now we're at 225, and we're still in the first quarter. So I understand that this game's going to take a while, but we're still in the first quarter. And it's definitely going to be beneficial to have either a fast quarterback or a fast running back. Quarterback probably a little bit easier because they will still play pass coverage when you're getting the sprint yards. And I will show you what I mean about that later, obviously, when we get to that point. We still need 3 rushing touchdowns, which we know. And then we're just got to play defense as well. So once again, we just gave up. So we've only given up 2 technical yards. So if you're confident in yourself, you could definitely try to run it a couple times because this will help you a lot with the sprint points. So even if you don't score every play, you will help yourself with the sprint points. But if you do get open field like I just did, you can also get it. And what I would advise is, run down the sideline as much as possible. Waste as much time when you're doing this because it's all those extra sprint points right there. So there's 1 rushing touchdown. And then just like that, you can see I'm at 500 sprint points. Rushing is definitely going to be a lot more sprint points because of the fact that you're running the whole time. With passing, you're wasting like 40 yards through the air. And definitely, I understand that this game is going to take a while. And this is definitely something that you're going to have to invest in about 30 minutes in each of these for each challenge. It is a little bit shorter in the fact that if you only have to win by a little bit less points and things like that. Like I said, it is super beneficial that I have a very fast team because, right there, that was a pretty good play on their part. So once again, I will probably try to run inside zone just because I'm pretty confident in my team's ability to score from long, but right there, it didn't work. So it really doesn't matter if they score a touchdown. The thing that we don't want is literally just them scoring points. So I will show you the method to get a lot of sprint points / waste a lot of time. But first, we have to get these stops and make sure they don't get a lot of yards and things like that. So we will be able to waste a lot of time once we get these rushing touchdowns. And like I said, you could pass it. Like for instance, I'll show you. If you're a little scared, you don't want to give up a lot of points and like that, you can just pass it like this. And that was kind of a hard throw, but I think Antoine Randall is going to come down with that. Yeah, he's actually going to come down with that, which is pretty clutch. That doesn't really do much, I guess, or it kind of depends on how you think about it. And I understand that we're still in the first quarter, and a lot of you guys watching are saying, well, it's taken a while, and you could definitely sim clock faster in a sense. But like I said, I wanted to show you a good way to get it done without having, and then hopefully later you could waste a lot of time rushing and things like that. So I will just run it because we're on the 30-yard line, and I'm decently confident in myself. Even if I don't score, like I said, we're still getting sprint yards because we're at 600 out of 2,000. So what you want to do is same thing. You really don't want to get beat over top, which, like I said, my receivers or my corners are plus like 6 or 7 speed on each position. So that's why I'm not too worried about it. And then those negative yards are also super beneficial because it's negative yardage. So what we're going to want to do, and we're in the second quarter now, so we're moving a little bit faster. You could also, like I said, it's the same. If you don't feel comfortable with the pass necessarily, just run it with your quarterback. If he's fast, boom, just like that. It's still a rushing touchdown. So that's 2 out of 3. Once we get the third one, I will show you the method to hopefully get a lot of sprint points if you do it correctly, as well as just get a lot of the yards and things like that. So what we're going to do, all out blitz. And the reason I use someone that's on, I don't use someone that's on the blitz is because I want to make sure that no matter what, I can kind of play like the safety zone and don't give up a big touchdown. So no matter what, I know as Troy Polamalu, I can probably run them down. So like I said, the reason I run the ball as well is because if we do run long plays, it somewhat takes up a lot of time. Like even that takes 4 or 5 seconds and you get some sprint yards. It's not perfect. So same thing, I always click triangle and then I click the right stick so that they play the inside for all my other positions as well. Right there, good, they didn't get it. We want to give up as little of yards as possible, of course, because you don't want them to get close that way if they get a fluke play. And right here, I think I'm going to go with PA crossers because I think Randall L is going to get open. And he is. He has a linebacker guarding him. We're just going to throw it. And then what I'm going to do is, like I said, I'll run out at like the 7 just because of the fact if you run out too close and you get a sack, you tackle him in the backfield, you don't want to get a safety. And I'm still really confident I can get 7 yards for a rushing touchdown with either Vic or something like that. So once again, and I did end up getting a safety, which, I mean, now we're on the 50. We still get the ball back. It's not the worst thing. We still get points, and we still have a lot of time left. But, that was 7 yards out. So imagine the closer you get, the easier it is to get safeties, which is good if you still need the safety. But if you don't need it, you definitely don't want to be too close. So, like I said, I'm staying in pinch buck 0. You could also play like cover 2 sink. But the issue when you play things like that is you can still give up yardage a lot easier. So when I'm playing something like this, I'll get a lot of free blitzers like that and give up, and I actually like minus them yards. If you play cover 2 sink, you're not going to give up a lot of yards. The issue is you also might give up like 4 or 5 yards per time or things like that. So we're going to try it once again with Randall L. He is going to come open once again. And we're going to run out once again at the 7. I'm hoping they run the ball. That's preferable. And we're at about 700 already for sprint points. So we can see that's not going to be too difficult. But what I'm hoping is that we could get a sack or tackle for loss without having to get a safety on this play. Hope they run it. If they run it, it makes it a lot easier on me. If I can get a pick as well, that would work. I try to get a pick right there. But we're going to go ahead and run it. Once again, inside zone is what I come out in. I think this is man, so I think I will be able to get Vic to the outside and go ahead and run it in. And I'm getting all these sprint points as well. So I'm just holding R2 right there. And it's not a ton of sprint points, but I mean, it is a little bit. So if you check out something as well, right now we're at 45-0. So if we just go check the challenge goals, once again, we can see win the game by 24 points. We're up by 45, so we can technically give them 3 touchdowns. Earn 2,000 sprint points, and then allow 75 or fewer total yards. So now the biggest thing, right, is, well, I want to waste a lot of time. So I'm actually going to call timeout because that's not what I want. And I don't know if it works on the extra points just because, extra points sometimes can be glitchy and not give you what you want. But what you're going to want to do is either run it or pass it. And the reason I pass it is because, like, once again, I have Michael Vick, so I'm not too worried in a sense. But basically, I'm just going to sprint around. So you can literally just sprint around, and that's the great thing about it. And Vic will get caught at a certain point, so it's not like it's going to be perfect every single time. But what you can do is if you're going to get caught, you can just fall down or just run out of bounds. For this is an extra point, right? So I'm just going to go ahead and go out of bounds. And you really should start that from the beginning in a sense, but you have to waste the time anyway. So the issue with what I did is I didn't waste any time on the clock, right? So there's a couple different ways. Like sprint points wise, you can get it during the extra points. The issue is you're not wasting any of the clock time. So you really want to do that in between when the clock is running, ideally. And I say that just because of the fact, yes, you will get the points. And what I will do is I will just take a safety, honestly. Why give them, you don't want to give them a touchdown. You give them a safety, they get the ball at the 50-yard line. It doesn't really matter because you're still confident you could stop them. And this will help you with taking 5, 10, 15 seconds off the clock every single time. You just sit in this pocket as long as you can. That takes a lot of time. And then just sprint around, make it look like you're going to run forward and then run backwards, things like that. Try to juke them out as much as possible, like I said, because really what we're doing right now is trying to get all of these sprint points And then I'm going to run through the end zone, like I said, and then that's only 2 points. And look at the sprint points, and I just took 20 seconds off the clock. So the good thing about this, if it gets close to that 24 points, just go score another touchdown. But if you're not, you can at least take 10, 15, 20 seconds off the clock every single time. And some of you guys might even be better at it than me in a sense, where you could really get maybe 20, 30 seconds off the clock. Myself, I'm not that great. So for instance, we will do it again. What you can also do is go out on like single back and just max protect. That's also a way to do it. That way you have more blockers. And right here, Vic weirdly stumbles. That's okay. Like I said, try to just maintain the play as long as possible, just because you're trying to waste time as well. And you don't really have to run all the way back. You can, go out at the 34. It's not a big deal if you don't want to give them points every single time. I didn't really get a lot of sprint yards right there because I didn't have a lot of time to sprint. I kind of messed up. I don't know. But even right there, you can see that's 10 seconds off the clock. So once you get the sprint time done, you can literally do that. And what you can also do is just throw it away. And I will show you guys that once I complete the sprint time. So this is literally how I fully do it, which is you're going for sprint time first. So let's focus on getting sprint time. And like I said, you could kind of do this differently if you wanted to. For instance, just go in goal line. And then the only thing about goal line is they're all play action. So I'll go in single back, but you could technically do whatever you wanted. I just don't like being in play action. So I'm just going to max protect everyone. And then since you're max protecting, you can run around, same thing. And that guy's really fast, so that happened. But even right now, if they were to score, they would only get 11 yards, which I'm not too worried about. And like I said, we're still up by a lot. 2 of my defenders right now have their X factors on, so. But you can see I'm wasting 10 seconds at a time, or however many seconds at a time I can. So it makes it super, super beneficial. So the only issue I see right here is that we're so far back. So this is actually still the same method, but a different method, right? So if you're far back and okay, well, I don't really have a lot of yards to go back. First off, I think I have X Factor. Is that Most X Factor? I think I have the Most X Factor, so I could probably just throw it up to Randall L if I really want to. So that's what I'm going to do. And he is going to catch it. You're kind of hoping you can get out of that and then just sprint around. But basically, I just didn't want them to be close to the end zone because I don't have a lot of space to run at that point and do my glitchiness. So as soon as I get the ball back, I should be able to keep it for the rest of this second quarter. So once again, let them catch that. I mean, that's a 1-yard pass, if 0 actually. So it doesn't really do much. So right here, like I said, there's also a different way you can do it, which is hand it to your running back and do it. If let's say you do it for Vic a couple times, you feel like he's tired, he's not getting it done, just put it in your running back's hand, and you can pretty much do the same thing. And right here, we're just going to go ahead and sprint. And, it's really different. It depends if you're trying to waste time or if you're trying to get more sprints and things like that. And we know the quarter is out, so we really don't have to worry about like giving them points. If we run out of bounds, it's perfectly fine. And boom, just like that. So literally, we have all of the objectives complete. And this half definitely took longer. I understand that. If we check challenge goals now, we have everything complete. The only thing, obviously, is you can't allow 75 or fewer yards. You still need to stick to that and then win the game by 24 points. But if you're giving them safeties, if we give them safeties, we still have 9 safeties we can do. So once again, same thing. You definitely need, if you're going to all-out blitz, to have a speed differential on the outside, because if they beat you over top and you give up a touchdown, that would probably be the worst thing to happen. And right there, we see the user, and hopefully, I was hoping Troy could break that because then I could probably do something. But right here, we see that we already have the time beat, right? So the thing is, since I already have the sprint beat, we don't need sprint. So what I'm going to do is sit in the pocket, try to last as long as possible, and then you can just throw it away, right? So that's the thing, is you're not going to give up any yards. That's the great thing about this method, if you go ahead and do it correctly, is now it's that we don't need sprint yards. You can just throw it away and you don't even have to give up points anymore. So it's really super beneficial that way. And right here, I'm giving up a ton of yards. That's what you don't want to do. It's still 31 out of 75 yards. It's not the worst. As long as we keep them out of the end zone right here, the good thing about, once again, if you can, now all we want to do is be a pocket passer. Pocket passer, get out of the pocket, and then throw it away, right? So you might not give up as much yards. It really depends on the blitzes sometimes and things like that, but they're only 20 yards out. So if they were to score right here, they wouldn't still beat that. And hopefully we can get sacks and make them go backwards like we did in the second half. And right there, He broke another tackle and got 5 yards. So it does get a little nervousing when they break those tackles, because if they get like 50, 60 yards, you're obviously going to get a lot more nervous. It really doesn't matter what play you run. Like I said, you could also go over top. So for instance, a way you could do it, if you feel like the blitz is coming and you're trying to just waste more time and you don't want them to be so close to the end zone, just go ahead and throw it up, because it still wastes time when the ball is in the air and they're not as close to the end zone, if that's what you're worried about. The issue right here is if you give up a big play, then they will score a touchdown on it. So we could see we gave up too many yards, so we lost both of our safeties. But basically what we're going to do still is try to get the stop, and boom, we didn't give up too much, so it's not too big of a deal. So that, once again, depending on what you feel like, I would rather give up a safety and waste more time, in my opinion. So what I'm going to do is give it to Cordell right here. So it's really depending on what you're trying to do. Are you trying to not give up as many yards, or are you trying to not give up points, or whatever the case is? So right here, we can see we're going to waste about 20 seconds, and it's not perfect in the sense that I know it's kind of a little boring and things like that, but it's kind of needs to be done, to be honest. And you might be able to bust it, to be honest. Like right there, I might have been able to get outside, but I wasn't too worried about it. We're just going to go out of the end zone. Like I said, we still give them 2 points, not worried about it. So we're going to show the blitz once again, play it inside leverage. We're hoping we can get some sacks and have them go backwards, but at the very minimum, you only want to give up like 1-2 yards per time. Right there, I think we'll give them 0 yards, so we're still at that 38 out of 75. And then if you want to give up yards, you can. If you don't want to give up yards. So we got Randall. We know he's going to beat the press and just go deep over there, but we don't really want to score a touchdown necessarily. So we're going to go outside, and I'm actually going to hit him right here, and I hit him a little close to the out of bounds. If I could keep him in bounds, I could run around for another 5-10 seconds. And that's really what you want to do, is just extend plays. It's almost like you're playing backyard football. You want to extend those plays as much as possible. So right here, we are going to get that blitz, which is super nice because we're going to get a lot of yards subtract. Super beneficial. I'm really happy about that. So once again, we're pretty close. So I'm probably just going to hand it off because I have a lot of time to run backwards. And we're still up by 41. So we have to win by 24. We're still up by 41. So, and we don't even need sprint yards anymore. So the thing is, we're really just time wasting. So we see that it's like 40 seconds on the clock, and they're pretty fast. So, I mean, this Gauntlet team is pretty fast. So you're definitely going to need a fast runner to go ahead and do this pretty usefully, but you can still do it pretty well. And we can see we're already almost down to the 20-second mark. So we wasted almost 20 seconds already, if not more, on this play. Actually, looks like we're going to waste more than 20 seconds on this play. And like I said, you might be better on this than me. I'm really not that good. So right there, though, we're still wasted about 30-ish seconds. We could see where that play really started and really see how much time. But that's a really good amount of time wasted. And you can see these second and third quarters, it's only taking us about maybe 5-6 minutes each. So the first quarter definitely takes long because we're trying to go for those long plays. But these ones definitely go a lot faster. So right now, it is a 39-point game, and we only can give up 40 more yards. So that is still nervousing. So what we're going to do is we're still trying to waste. We want to waste all 10 of these seconds in this quarter. So pocket. They haven't broken it yet. We're going to sit here. As long as they don't get off those blocks, we can waste the whole quarter down. And since we already wasted the whole quarter, I'm just going to throw it out of bounds. Not worried about trying to get yards because we already wasted the quarter. If you want to, I could have threw to like triangle right there and did it that way. So right here, the biggest thing we don't want to do is give up a long play because we know where the yardage is at and it's decently close. So boom, right there, we do get another sack. We minus them 5. That's super huge at this point in the game. And timeouts really don't matter. So don't worry about that either because you're switching possession. So if they all out blitz you, just go ahead and like throw it up or try to get it out of your hands, things like that. Like I said, we're going to do it again. If we all out blitz, you can run around, kind of do whatever you want. You just want to waste as much time. So right there, that's not perfect, but we still waste 8 seconds on there. We can live with that, right? Or I think it might have been like 5 seconds, but something like that you can live with. And once again, we're just going all out blitz. They're down by so much that they're not going to just try to score on you. So we can see. So we're on the 6-yard line. So what we're going to do is I think we can waste a lot of time giving it to Cordell in this situation and then running backwards and giving up a safety. So that's exactly what we're going to do. And good thing I hit that spin move because I think he would have got me right there. And you got to be careful. You don't want to get tackled right there. I mean, if you do, it's not the end of the world for anything. But you try to go forward as much as possible and then go backwards and turn. That's how you do it the best you can. But we can see we're going down like 20-30 seconds. So we're only going to need a couple of these plays in this fourth quarter. And unfortunately, you want to be, it's where if you're in their end zone, it's a lot easier in the sense that, you know, okay, so right there, that is probably, it's not the worst, right? Because they can only get 9 yards. So even if they do score, you're still up by enough and they can still only get 9 yards. It's not the worst. You know, it just makes it a little bit harder for us to do it again after. But right there, for instance, they scored, they get 9 yards, so they only had 35 yards out of 75. And then you want to make sure you're up by that 24, right? So that's the biggest thing. Right now we're up by 33. So we're probably going to want to score another touchdown if we can, or at least not get another safety, because we don't want to give them the yardage if we don't have to. Minka got a pick right here. We're going to go run this back. I know we don't waste time, but we get 2 at points, so every point matters. So we're actually going to go ahead and run this back. We're on a perfect play right there. And you can already see, I already have the sprint points and things like that. But even if you really didn't have the sprint points as early as me, you could see how many sprint points I would have gone just by the way I'm running. So once again, we're close to the end of the game. So I always check my statistics. Win the game by 24. We're up by 35. So we have a little leeway there. We're up 11 technically on what we need to do. And then allow 75 or fewer yards. So that's what we don't want, is the fewer yards. And we don't want to give up touchdowns. If we get a safety, honestly, it's not the biggest deal. The touchdowns is what's going to kill us. So the only reason I'm doing these pass plays is because I also want Randall L to be able to keep his ability, and it has to be consecutive passes, not targeted, is the only way he loses it. So right here, I'm going to do this again, and what you can do also is you could take off, right? You could take off, fall down, slide out. That still wastes 8 seconds. It's not as great as some of the methods, but if you don't want them to be close to the end zone, like I said, I personally don't really care if they're close to the end zone because I would rather give up points rather than you know, too many yards necessarily. But right here, we're going to go ahead and make that tackle. And we can see that's going to give them 48 out of 75. So once again, it is a little nerve-wracking, right? In the sense that you got to waste time off the clock. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take another safety here because I think I'll be fine with the points. I don't think that's going to be my downfall. So we're going to go ahead and just try to do this. And they're pretty fast. Like I said, it's a little tough sometimes because they are pretty fast, but they do glitch out a little bit. And we're gone 40 seconds here. So you can hit some spins too and like try to hit some jukes. Like we made them fall. So that's definitely going to give us some extra time in a sense. And we're down to 33 seconds right here. So we're going to get this under 30 seconds, which is super good. Once again, we're still up 33. So the only way we're going to lose right now is if we give up a big time touchdown. I'm still going to go at the all-out blitz, right? Because I'm just going to trust it to the end. But you could also play 2-man, play over top if you don't want to give up a big touchdown. But like I said, I'm really confident in myself. If I let him throw that, it's not really going to do much to me. Like literally let him have that. They need 24 yards, and they're really only going to get like maybe one more play. The only way we might lose is if they throw a Hail Mary or something. But hopefully they don't have the play on the last one, and we're able to get the ball out of their hands. So what I'm going to do is same thing. I'm going to throw this one because, like I said, I hopefully can waste time. And then I'm just going to chuck it up. And Randall is going to, actually Vance McDonald comes down with it. So they're on their 4-yard line, but I don't think they're in Hail Mary range. All we need to do is get one stop here. And then we can run the clock out. We know we can run the clock out. So like I said, you can run 2-man here. If you're maybe a little nervous, you don't want them to beat you over top, just run 2-man. You're not going to get the blitz. You're not going to get the sack most likely. But the thing is, you're probably not going to get beat for a lot of yardage because even if you miss a tackle, it's not going to be the biggest deal. Like let them dump it down to that running back if they want, right? I mean, like they try to dump it down, no big deal. So right here, we know we only need 11 seconds, so we're going to hand it off to Cordell and run backwards. And they are goal line blitzing this or whatever, goal line, but we should be good anyways. So 8, 7, as soon as you hit that 0, just go ahead and get out of bounds and get out of this game. So 3, 2, 1, get out of bounds. And then we should have the 5 stars unless it glitched out on us. We did everything correctly, and you'll see 1, 2, 3, and then we will get the 4 and the 5. So I know this was a really, really long video, but hopefully this does help you out. This method, like I said, it's not really hard. You just got to do it correctly. But if you're running backwards like I did, once you get up and things like that, you just got to make sure you have that 24-point lead. But you can waste like 20, 30, 40 seconds at a time on some of those like you saw I did. And it's super beneficial when trying to get out of those quarters. So drop a like if this video does help you out. Subscribe, turn on that post notification bell. And as always, I will see you next time.